Hey everyone, Chef Geoff here. Welcome to my kitchen. Thanks for popping by. And if you're new to the channel, just take that moment here and just hit the old subscribe button. And apparently the like function is also super good for the algorithm. So like it if you like it. If you don't like it, it's fine. Share, comment, etc. That's great. So if you want to think like a chef, you have to allow yourself to be inspired by your travel experiences. So for me, the way this works for me is that I lived in Australia for about a year, a lifetime ago. And specifically, I lived in Melbourne for about 6 months. And I learned when I was living there, their regional dish, and it was on every menu, was chicken Parma. And it was, you can get it in restaurants, hotels, it was everywhere. And it was kind of like a vessel for all kinds of crazy, interesting ingredients. But today we're just gonna make a really traditional, classic chicken Parma. So what we're gonna start with is making the red sauce first off. So I've got some olive oil working here. Theoretically, I didn't heat it up. There we go. What I've got in my little hand here is just some rough chopped vegetables. And it's literally what I'm trying to make is a really rustic sauce. So as you can see, the cut sizes on these are super big. Like I've just julienne these onions, and they're just, you don't have to have it super fine. Anything you got lying around your fridge. I happen to have a red pepper, a partial piece of red pepper, and some tomato. So let's go with that. We're gonna start with a little bit of seasoning, a little salt and pepper. I'm gonna set this baby on high. A little pepper. And this is about 2-3 cloves of garlic. Get in there, all right. And I also got a spice blend. So in here we got a bay leaf. So we have some cumin, chili powder, chili flakes, and some paprika. We're just gonna throw that in there and let these all soften, and we'll get right back to that in just a moment. The whole idea of a chicken Parma, is that really thin piece of chicken breast. So I got my trusty mallet here, and this is also a really great way to take out some frustrations. I'm not gonna bang things out too much, but you know, let's see what we got. Two sides to it. You don't wanna use the tenderizer, you just wanna have the flat piece here. And what I'm doing is I'm gonna pound from the center of the chicken breast. Oh, I went for the wrong piece. And I'm pounding outward. Getting nice and thin. Your other option is to butterfly your chicken breast. I just went straight with a chicken breast. No need to cut it from my point of view. I also have it inside of a plastic bag. It works really well, keeps things contained and clean. If you don't have, a clear plastic bag, you can just use 2 pieces of plastic wrap. Put some plastic wrap here, put your chicken breast on, put your plastic wrap on top. So satisfying. We're getting them nice and thin. All right. And if it shreds a little bit, if it breaks up, it's not really a big deal. So as you can see, it's really nice and thin. All right, so these are getting softened nicely here. I got a little bit of beer. If you have beer, you got red wine, you got a little bourbon, all those things are great. We're going to quickly, we're gonna put about half a cup of beer in. Oh yeah, there we go. So if you guys remember from my tomato soup recipe, I was really talking about singing the praises of a good quality tomato. I was talking about the 7440 tomatoes, that's them here. If you don't have them hanging around, you can get San Marzano, or any kind of plum tomato out of a can is gonna work great. These have already been crushed, and I'm just gonna throw them in. I got 1.5 liters of, making a mess, there we go. 1.5 liters of these tomatoes. Go. Work that in. And again, what you're looking for is just a really rustic sauce. We're not going to blend this. We just want it we wanted to have texture. We wanted to have just a good amount of movement in your mouth while you're chewing it. So we have a little bit of vegetable base. I'm just going to go with half a cup actually. And some tomato paste. This is going to be about 3 tablespoons or teaspoons. 1, 2, 3. All right, just work this in. I'm gonna bring it to a boil and we're gonna simmer it. This sauce will take about 30 minutes or so, maybe 40. So we have the chicken, we have the flour and the breadcrumbs. Really important part of this is to season everything that you're working with. Not necessarily the eggs, but what I have in the flour is some, ooh, messy's continuing, is some garlic powder, salt and pepper. In the breadcrumbs, it's equal parts panko breadcrumbs and just regular breadcrumbs. And I've got a bunch of dry herbs in there. So anything from, I've got basil and oregano and marjoram. If you want to throw fresh herbs in there, great, but it's important to have that little bit of herbaceous flavor. There's also a little bit of salt, pepper, and a little bit more of that garlic salt. So you want to have, when you're breading, I'm going to try to do this properly. You want to have one wet hand, one dry hand. We'll see how that works out because I'll end up doing this. But okay, so we're going to start here. And the whole idea with the flour is it's going to help everything else stick. So you just want to get it. You don't have to have, you want to get it all in there. There we go. So we're going to go for the dry hand here. So flour, egg wash, and then the panko. Important part when you're getting your panko in there is just spend that extra moment and just get it really flat and get every little bit covered. Flip it over. There you have it. And this is what you're looking for, really nicely covered and everything like that. All right, we're ready to fry here. So I've got all my cutlets breaded and ready to go. What I have in here is 3 cups of vegetable oil, and it takes about 3-4 minutes to come to temperature. I'm not using a thermometer, but if you have one at home, you just set it up and let it come up to 350 degrees. When it does that, we're just gonna set it at kind of medium-low. And if you don't have that thermometer, and it kind of a dead giveaway is you just throw a little bit of panko in there and see how it just fries right away. Perfect. This means this oil's ready to go. So I'm going to drop down my cutlet. You got to work in batches as we go. There we have it. All right. So if you're not comfortable with deep frying at home, this is a step you can completely skip. So if you have an air fryer, you're welcome to use that. Otherwise, we can just bake these babies straight into the oven, and you're good to go. If you're going to take a look at this pot here, I've got things really reduced nicely. As you can see, you see this little ring around here. While this was cooking, we had it on high heat and I was simmering it. It really reduced down and thickened up really nicely. So we're ready to kind of go on this. But first things first, I'm going to flip this guy over. Oh yeah, see, you can see kind of a dead giveaway if you're ready to be flipped is if you're starting to get browning on the edges. This needs just a touch longer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this guy over here. I'm going to flip this over, get some nice crispiness going on. That's perfect. Yeah, 2 minutes per side and you're ready to roll here. Nice and crispy, and the panko really gives it a really good texture as well. So I always talk about when you're finishing a sauce, you really want that herbaceous flavor. I've just got this is almost a full bunch of fresh basil and it already smells great. And what you want to do is take it off the heat and add your herbs. So we're just going to quickly roll them and just chop them nice and quick. Add them to your sauce. And you're going to get that really nice fresh basil smell and that flavor in with your sauce. All right, that's ready to roll. Look at those beautiful cutlets. They're nice and crispy. You can see all the herbs have already come up and they start to smell really good. So the Australians, specifically those folks who live in Melbourne, they really take their Parma seriously. So we're gonna make a really traditional style. However, a chicken Parma in that part of the world is just basically a canvas for all matters of ingredients. So what I'm gonna do before I kind of go any farther, I'm just gonna put a little bit of the red sauce on the bottom. And we're just gonna layer all these guys here. And we're gonna add a touch more of the red sauce on each one. So as I was saying before, the traditional Australian Melbourne Parma is with ham. So I've got some really nice prosciutto. So we're gonna lay that in here. Look at these guys, really nice and fatty. But as I was saying, like these are basically a canvas for anything you want on it. So I've seen Hawaiian style, I've seen jambalaya style, vegetarian, whatever your heart desires, you can throw that on your Parma. All right. So the next piece is the cheese, a really, really important part. So this is buffalo mozzarella, and it is just a rich, beautiful cheese made from buffalo milk. So we're gonna cut this guy into, thin strips, not super thin. Oh boy, oh man. You and I are gonna be friends for life. All right. And we're just gonna evenly divide this onto our Parmas. 1, 2, 3, there we go. This guy's sorely lacking, great. Last thing to do here is, because it is a Parmesan, you gotta have some Parmesan cheese. So this is Grana Padano. I'm just gonna grate this on. So I've got my oven set at 425 degrees, and it should take about 15 to 20 minutes because when we deep fried, we didn't cook it all the way through. We were just trying to get it nice and crispy. We're gonna let the oven do the work after that. So if you were sitting in a pub in Melbourne and you ordered that chicken Parma, it would traditionally be served with chips and greens. But today I've done enough deep frying, so we're just gonna be serving this today with a really nice and light arugula salad. I've tossed it with balsamic dressing, and if you can search back in my catalog, you'll see a dressing that goes along with that in my halloumi salad. All right, so look at these babies. You see the crispiness, you see that the cheese is really melted nicely. So all we're gonna do here is try not to make a mess while I'm doing it. We'll lay this one right here, and we're gonna put one more on top. We're gonna put a little bit of basil. Oh yeah, it smells incredible, you guys. All right, last thing, it's a chicken Parma. So again, we've gotta go crazy on the cheese. Oh, a little too crazy. All right. So we've got a really classic Australian style chicken Parma. From my kitchen to yours, bon appetit.